Look, but I have two stories today. Little PeeWee, or Open the Box, and Sylvester the Mouse with a Musical Ear. It's a beautiful day today, Arthur, my love, and all my peeps. So I hope you get out and enjoy. So I thought if I read early, you'd have more time outside. Once there was a circus man with quite a tall red hat on his head. He had a circus of his very own, so that was why he was called the circus man. It was a wonderful, wonderful circus. The circus man kept his wonderful circus inside a big red tent. Every day the circus man stood in front of his big red tent. He held up something in his hand, very, very high for everybody to see. He held up a teeny, weeny little box, and he shouted very loudly, "Come on, everybody, come on over here to my tent. Come on, everybody, I have something exciting to show you. Just wait till I show you what I have in this teeny, weeny little box. So hurry up, everybody." There's everybody coming, and there, look at that little itty bitty box. What could be in that box? Everybody came running and skipping and hopping as fast as they could to the circus man's big red tent. And when everybody was there, the circus man said, "Everybody look now, everybody look now, everybody look now, everybody look." Then he opened the box, and out came the teeniest, weeniest, teeny, weeny little dog in all the world. He was dear little PeeWee, the circus dog. There he is. Little itty bitty dog. He just stepped out of his teeny weeny box and he looked around at everybody. The minute he looked around at everybody, everybody loved him. Then the circus man said, "Well, I knew everybody would love my little PeeWee. It's too bad he doesn't know any tricks, not a single one, not even how to roll over, not even how to shake hands, but never mind. He is so teeny weeny that everybody loves him." And that was true. Everybody loved little PeeWee. There was the clown with two heads, but one of them was probably make-believe. He loved little PeeWee. Then there was the small man who could juggle 3 ducks at one time. He loved little PeeWee. There was the man sitting high on a chair on top of 6 tables, just going to fall down and blowing soap bubbles. He loved little PeeWee. There was the lady standing on her head on an umbrella. With one foot she was holding a pair of scissors, and with the other foot she was holding a cup full of nice warm milk. She loved little PeeWee. There was the elephant crawling under another elephant. They loved little PeeWee. There was the thin man. He loved little PeeWee. There was a strong baby holding up an automobile with a seal in the back seat, a seal that went, "Er, er, er." He loved little PeeWee. There was the snake that could put his tail in his mouth and then go rolling right up the stairs. He loved little PeeWee. There was the lady hanging in the air just by her nose, being tied to a good strong rope. She loved little PeeWee. There was the fat lady. She loved little PeeWee. There was the polar bear who could jump up in the air and click his ice skates together 4 times. He loved little PeeWee. There was the goat that could stand right on a bed, with the bed all burning up and not even mind about the fire being hot. He loved little PeeWee. And there was the huge, tall giant. He loved little PeeWee. But one day, a terrible, frightful, awful thing happened. One day, little PeeWee started to grow. And he grew. And he grew. And he grew. And he grew. Until poor little PeeWee, the circus dog, was just the same size as any other plain dog that you would see anywhere. Then the circus man cried and said, "Now I can't keep you in my circus anymore, dear little PeeWee. I am so sorry. If only you could do some tricks, it would be different. But you can't do any tricks, not even roll over, not even shake hands. Now you are just as big as any plain dog, and how can I keep just a plain dog in my circus? No, I just can't. So we must say goodbye, dear little PeeWee." Then the whole wonderful circus cried, and the whole circus said, "Goodbye, dear little PeeWee." But then, as little PeeWee started to go away and never come back to the circus anymore, a wonderful, splendid, beautiful thing happened. As dear little PeeWee was beginning to walk away sadly and slowly, he started to grow again. And he grew. And he grew. And he grew. Then the circus man said, "Oh, my dearest little PeeWee, now you won't have to go after all. Now you are so lovely and big, you are the very dog for my circus." So little PeeWee stayed in the circus man's wonderful circus, and everybody loved him. Every day, just before the circus started, the circus man would stand outside the big red tent. Right beside him, he would have a huge, enormous box. The circus man would shout, "Come on, everybody, come on over here to my tent. Hurry up, everybody. I have something exciting to show you. Just wait till you see what I have in this great, enormous box. So hurry up, everybody." That's a big box, isn't it? And everybody would come running and skipping and hopping to the circus man's wonderful circus tent. Then the circus man would say, "Come on inside the tent, everybody, and I will open the box just for you." Everybody would help the circus man push and push the great, enormous box into the tent. Then the circus man would open the top of the great, enormous box, and out would pop dear little PeeWee. The circus man would say, "People, this is my dear little circus dog, PeeWee. He is the hugest, most enormous dog in the whole world, and I love him dearly." And every time the circus man said, "He is the hugest, most enormous dog in the whole world, and I love him dearly," little PeeWee felt very happy indeed. That's the end of our first story. And our second story, Sylvester, the mouse with the musical ear. Sylvester lived in the country. He was a country mouse. He lived in a grassy meadow, and there were lovely sounds all about him. On the north, there was a little road where birds fluttered in the dust and made little chirping sounds. On the south, there was a lovely woods where the meadowlarks sang and sang. On the east, there was a cornfield where soft winds made music all day. and crickets chirped all night. And on the west there was a silver brook that went gurgle glub glub with a musical beat. Sylvester was a mouse with a musical ear. He loved the meadow sounds by day. He loved the meadow sounds by night. He would sit in his doorway listening to the birds and listening to the crickets. He would sit listening to the winds and to the brook. He would sit quietly humming to himself. But one day men came from the city. They dug up the little road on the north and made a big highway. Now birds no longer fluttered in the dust and made little chirping sounds. Cars went by, zoom. Trucks went by, whoosh. Sylvester no longer heard the music of the birds. Soon, down the big highway, the city came closer and closer. One day men came and cut down the lovely woods on the south. They put up rows and rows of houses. Now the meadowlarks no longer sang in the woods. The meadowlarks went away to sing and sing in another place. And the city came closer and closer. Men came once more. They cut down the cornfield on the east and put up rows and rows of shops. The crickets went away to chirp chirp in another cornfield. And Sylvester no longer heard the winds above the city noises. The city came closer and closer. Men came again. They dug up the silver brook on the west. Now it no longer went gurgle glub glub with a musical beat. And Sylvester no longer sat in his doorway humming softly to himself. He just sat listening to the zoom of the cars and the whoosh of the trucks. Poor little Sylvester. One day men came with a big bulldozer. They dug up the grassy meadow. They dug up Sylvester's house. They even dug up Sylvester. I am no longer a country mouse. I am a city mouse, he said. I shall find another home. And away he went. There were many places in the city, but no place looked just right for a mouse with a musical ear. Some places were too noisy, and some places were too quiet. Sylvester went on and on. All at once, he heard lovely sounds. He heard lovely music. In he went, and there was a place filled with musical sounds. There was a place just right for a mouse with a musical ear. Sylvester saw a fine house. There was a little door for going in, for coming out. Across the doorway was a wire fence. In went Sylvester, and he sat quiet, humming to himself. Sylvester liked his house. He especially liked the gay music, piano music, violin music, and drums with a musical beat. Sylvester liked his doorway. He especially liked going in and coming out. When he went across the wire fence, he made lovely sounds. Blink, blink. He made music. Sylvester was very quiet by day, but at night, when the shop was dark, he played on the wire fence across his doorway. He played quiet music. Blink, blink. He played noisy music. Blunk, blunk. He played the music he heard all day. People went by the shop at night. Who is playing? They asked. Who plays music in your shop at night? They asked the shopkeeper. One night the shopkeeper listened in the dark. He was very quiet. Sylvester came softly to his door. He began to play. Blunk, blunk, blunk. The shopkeeper heard the music. It came from the guitar on the shelf, but in the dark he did not see Sylvester. It's a magic guitar, he cried. A magic guitar that plays itself. Soon, people heard about the magic guitar. They stood outside the shop at night and listened. They went inside the shop by day and looked. But nobody would buy the guitar. Nobody would buy a magic guitar that played all by itself. Far away in the west, Tex heard about the magic guitar. Tex loved music. Tex loved to sing, but Tex did not have a guitar. A guitar is just what I need, said Tex, especially a magic guitar that plays itself. So away to the city went Tex. He traveled a long, long way. He traveled along, singing as he went. Finally, he came to the city. Where could I find that magic guitar? He asked. Tex found the magic guitar. He bought the magic guitar. Tex was very happy. Tex set off for the west with his magic guitar. He traveled along, singing as he went. Inside the guitar, Sylvester was sound asleep. Tex stopped at night to rest in a grassy meadow. It was very dark and very quiet. All at once, Tex heard music. Plink, plink, plunk, plunk, plonk, plonk. Tex sat up, and there was Sylvester. It is not a magic guitar, cried Tex. It is a magic mouse. A mouse with a musical ear. Sylvester stopped playing. He saw the lovely grassy meadow. He heard the lovely country sounds. He looked and looked at Tex. At once, he and Tex liked one another. They became great friends. Sylvester went home with Tex. He played the guitar while Tex sang. They loved making beautiful music together. People came from far away to listen. They traveled here and they traveled there. They made soft music and they made noisy music. Sylvester traveled inside his fine house, and sometimes at night he would sit quiet in his doorway, humming to himself. Sometimes he was a city mouse, but sometimes he was a country mouse. But at all times, he was a musical mouse, a mouse with a musical ear. And that is the end of our stories for today. I hope you enjoyed. Love you all. Have a good day and have fun. Bye.